Okay, guys, and Stephen, here goes my answer to your question this morning about the importance of sleep versus training versus nutrition versus stress and some other factors. Okay, so I'm going to summarise in brief without going too deep into this one because I think that the takeaway point is the key thing, not necessarily the myriad of science underneath it. I'm sure most people reading this are intelligent enough to understand a lot of the reasoning behind what I'm going to say. The number one factor in the factors listed that is on the Super Vitality wall is, for me, sleep. The reason is that anyone who has had poor quality sleep knows what that does to your nutrition, and they know what that does to your training, because sleep, as we know, has a cascading effect of our hormones. Okay, our hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin, are completely and utterly screwed if our sleep is poor quality and insufficient in length. Okay, so anybody who's been out, not that any of you drink or do go out, but anybody who's had a poor night's sleep knows the next day what types of foods you are craving because your sleep has been poor. Once your insulin is poor from poor quality sleep, your leptin and ghrelin levels are out of balance. The next day sticking to our eating schedule is, it's not impossible, but it's far more difficult. We all know that because our body's craving foods that we don't necessarily need or want, but in that state, hormonally, our brain starts wanting and craving junk foods. Okay, so diet, obviously, for me, is the second factor in this, because without the sleep and without the adequate nutrition, we are not going to have the energy, the glycogen reserves, the creatine phosphate levels in our muscles. We are not going to have what we want to contract muscle optimally, perform optimally, buffer lactic acid, resist fatigue, and give the intensity of training we need to elicit the training effects we want. Okay, so for me, the nutrition comes fundamentally second, because without the essential fats, the essential amino acids, the water, life is not possible. Okay, sorry to sound a bit bleak with this, but there's one inevitable fact: if we go without water and the essentials for long enough, we won't be here much longer. So that kind of is, for me, is second, because without the sleep and the nutrition, the rest is impossible. So they have to come as one and two. You could argue which one's first, but they're the top two. Next on the list, Steve mentioned training and stress and things like that. I think the training comes third for me, because if we train correctly, we can mitigate and control stress. If we overtrain, obviously we can increase stress and cortisol, but I think we need to get stress can come further down, because if we have the nutritional factors, the right amount of sleep, we can buffer stress a lot better. So I think stress comes further down the list for me, because I think there's a lot of things before that can mitigate and ward it off to a certain degree. So training has to be the right dose, the right intensity for the right person at the right time in their training cycles, based on the ultimate end goal. So training is massively important, because we are meant to move, we're designed to move, and we should move efficiently, effectively and productively in the gym or outdoors or wherever you choose to train. So I think that's a key factor, is exercise. We do know, although there's been some absolute nonsense lately, that exercise doesn't get us slimmer, make us fitter and all the rest of it. We're all more intelligent than that, and we know that that's not the case. We know that we need to exercise and exercise intelligently, which is what most of you, I'm sure, do anyway. So, but I think in terms of the list and the question posed, I think that sleep, nutrition is the fundamentals at the base of any pyramid of performance, health, longevity or vitality, and then we optimise and build on that with our training. And further up the line, we've got supplementation, mindset coaching, mindfulness, NLP based work. All those factors can come at the top of the pyramid, but we have to have the fundamentals there to be able to build on that. Because you can't, putting a fancy roof on a house that's built in quicksand is never a good solution to anything. So I hope that makes sense. And Steve, thanks for asking the question.